All right, Democratic Senator Chris Van Hollen meeting face-to-face with suspected MS-13 gang member in El Salvador.
Madeleine Rivera is live in Washington with the latest for us. Hey, Maddie.
Good morning, guys. Maryland Senator Chris Van Hollen says he'll give more details about that meeting when he gets back to the U.S. Van Hollen posting this photo on X saying he's spoken to Abrego Garcia's wife and given her Abrego Garcia's message of love.
Fighting against MS-13 for probably longer than Donald Trump even heard about MS-13. They're trying to make this case about Kilmar all about MS-13. The judge in the case has said they've not provided substantial or any significant evidence to back up their claim.
El Salvador's President Nayib Bukele is mocking the meeting, saying in part, Kilmar Abrego Garcia has miraculously risen from the death camps and torture. He also suggests he's still not looking to release Abrego Garcia, saying he gets the honor of staying in El Salvador's custody. Per the New York Post, a conservative watchdog, the American Accountability Foundation is demanding an ethics probe into Van Hollen's El Salvador trip. The organization's president says Senator Van Hollen decided that he would use Senate funds to fly to El Salvador and advocate for an enemy of the United States. Here's President Trump talking about the case yesterday.
I have to refer again to the lawyers. I'll have to do what they asked me to do. I had heard that there were a lot of things about a certain gentleman, perhaps it was that gentleman, that would make that case be a case that's easily winnable on appeal. So we'll just have to see. I'm going to have to respond to the lawyers.
On Thursday, an appeals court denied the Justice Department's request to block a federal judge's order to facilitate Abrego Garcia's return. The case could ultimately land back in the hands of the Supreme Court. Lawrence Ainsley and Brian.
Well, thanks so much. Appreciate it. So it's unbelievable that he feels good sitting against a guy that beat his wife twice because they say the case is closed. It doesn't mean he didn't do it. Number two is he was picked up wearing a Bulls shirt, hanging out with MS-13. Unless there was meet the civilian day, this is called what MS-13 does. You know, they don't have cards, but they have certain actions. That's why two separate judges said he's a member of MS-13. Also, the trafficking case we brought up, that was brought up yesterday, found in the Tennessean, that said he was moving 7 other people from Texas to Maryland, one of which they think was on a terror watch list, driving without a license on top of that. And do we even know what job he had before he was picked up?
So since we did the show yesterday, DHS has now confirmed that story, that it did happen with the Tennessee State Police. I guess it brings me no joy saying this, Brian, but you were right yesterday. Me and you talked off air, and I said, do you really think they're going to stick with this after all of this information, beating his wife, the immigration two judges saying that he's a part of MS-13, and then the new information about him trafficking? And you said they would. And this is going to be the image, Ainsley, during the next campaign. The Democrats stand with the people that beat their wives, that are illegals, and MS-13 members, and the president, Donald J. Trump, stands with the victims' families.
I still cannot believe that they think this is a winning message.
It's crazy.
The majority of the people in America, they voted for Donald Trump. They all said their issue was the high prices under Joe Biden and then immigration.
Yeah.
That was those were the top 2 issues on the campaign trail. This guy's going down, and the House Committee on Homeland Security Chairman Green said, wasting taxpayer dollars, visiting a gang member, reported domestic abuser. If Democrats care so much about defending this individual, they can use their own personal credit cards, not taxpayer money, to virtue signal their radical base. That's what it is. It's the radical left that is for this kind of thing. And Stephen Miller talked about how Van Hollen, when one of his own constituents, when Rachel Morin was killed, when she was raped and beaten to death and murdered by an illegal alien, that Joe Biden set free, not once did Van Hollen call his constituent, Rachel's mom, and say, I'm sorry. Couldn't be bothered to express condolences or any sympathy.
Right, and if he really cared, he says, I know more about MS-13 than Donald Trump. Well, show it. Show us, because when you have somebody who's a victim of it, maybe you pick up the phone. I love what the president of El Salvador said. He said, well, miraculously, he's risen from death camps and torture, now sipping margaritas with Senator Van Hollen in the paradise of El Salvador. So now you got what you wanted. Other thing is interesting. He told ICE when he was picked up and ultimately put on that plane that he said he did not fear, he isn't afraid to go back to Central America. In 2019, he told the court that he expressed fear if he ever returned to El Salvador. So is he suddenly got courage, or is he trying to get asylum? And to do that, you have to express fear. Here's historian Victor Davis Hanson on what the Democrats are doing.
It's kind of a disturbing pattern. This Democratic Jacobin Party, they have all these iconic people they want to die on the altar of their freedom. And it's not just Mr. Garcia, it's Mahmoud Khalil, the pro-Hamas spokesman. He's an iconic figure. It's Mr. Mangione, he's an iconic figure. Even on social media, Carmelo Anthony, who's an alleged killer, is an iconic figure. And they fixate on these people, and you get two things from it all: that they have no moral bearings and they don't care about the victims. They don't care about that. And then they're in this, I don't know what you'd call it, kind of a fog or an echo chamber. They really think that people agree with them or resonate.
I just really think that the Democratic Party is lost right now. They're completely
They don't know it.
losing their minds. And I mean, when you look at all the swing states, going for the guy that you guys got rid of before, and he comes back and makes the biggest comeback in political history, you would think something would, register to their brain. Maybe we're doing something wrong. Instead, they double down on every 90-10 issue there is.
And then Van Hollen wrote on X, I have called his wife Jennifer to pass along his message of love. I thought, message of love? He loved her so much that she had to go to authorities and say that he threw a boot at her, that he punched her in the face, that he knocked the laptop off the bed because she wouldn't get off. She couldn't sleep, so she was on the laptop, knocked it off the bed, and she was fearful for her son. Gave her a black eye. That's the woman that she loved.
Two different incidents.
So the Washington Post did a poll, and they said, America in 2016, are you for deporting all illegal immigrants? Only 36% of the country. This is all illegal immigrants, let alone MS-13. 2025, the number's up to 56%. And then Howard Enton, the CNN pollster, said only 2% of the American people regret voting for Donald Trump, which is astounding, which means almost nobody. So everyone who's saying this is terrible, he's going to pay the price, they don't get it. They're going to talk about the legal machinations. Should he been on? Should he been scooped up with everybody else, the 260 to be on that plane? And you got local district court judges and the Supreme Court saying, what are you doing today, Trump administration, to get him out? So there's going to be a legal fight to get him back. I'm sure he's going to end up, if he does, with a hero's welcome as he goes right to, I guess, to prison, right?
Yeah, he's going back.
So he'll go to a U.S. prison as opposed to detainment center over in El Salvador.
Crazy.
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.